The battlefield was silent for a moment. Smoke drifted across broken ground. The smell of burned metal and dust filled the air. A human soldier, tired and covered in dirt, moved carefully between the ruins. His mission was clear: move forward, secure the enemy position, and make sure his unit could win this fight. But then he heard something strange. It was not the sound of guns, not the growl of alien beasts, not the call of his commander. It was softer, smaller. A cry. He froze. His heart beat faster. He knew every sound of this war, but this was different. The cry came again, weak, hurt, afraid. He followed the sound, step by step, his boots crunching over broken stone. He told himself this was foolish. His orders were waiting. Every second wasted could cost lives. But still, he moved closer. Behind a pile of rubble, he found them. 3 small alien cubs. They were lying together, bodies bruised, one with blood on its side. Their eyes glowed faintly, just like the dangerous predator species his people feared. The very species they had been fighting for months. The soldier's training screamed inside his mind, "Leave them! Move forward. They will grow into killers." But his human heart did not listen. The cubs cried again, a sound too close to human children. It cut through the noise of war and reached something deep inside him. He knelt down almost against his will. The cubs looked up at him. They did not attack. They did not snarl. They only trembled, weak and helpless. He whispered to himself, "Why? Why are you here? Why now?" His radio crackled. His commander's voice shouted, "Soldier! Move forward! The line is breaking. We need that victory now." He looked back at the cubs. His hands shook. He knew what victory meant. If he left them here, they would die. Maybe crushed by falling stone, maybe burned by fire, maybe hunted by wild beasts. But if he carried them, if he wasted time, he could fail his orders. And failing orders in war meant not just punishment, it meant death for his comrades. The soldier closed his eyes for a moment. He remembered his own family back on Earth. He remembered his little sister crying when she was sick. He remembered the way his mother had told him once, "A life is a life. Protect the small ones, even when it costs you." When he opened his eyes again, the choice was made. He pulled his cloak from his back and spread it on the ground. One by one, he lifted the cubs onto the cloth. Their tiny claws caught his sleeves, but they did not scratch. Instead, they clung to him as if they already knew he would protect them. The radio voice came again, louder, harsher. "Soldier! Do you hear me? Push forward!" He switched off the radio. Silence returned, broken only by the soft breathing of the cubs. His hands tightened around the cloak. He was shaking, not from fear of the enemy, but from the weight of his decision. He was disobeying orders. He was risking his mission. He was risking everything. And yet, he felt something powerful rising inside him. Something stronger than duty. He whispered, "You'll live. I don't care what it costs me. You'll live." The soldier looked around quickly. Shadows moved across the ruined buildings. If anyone saw him, if his commanders discovered what he carried, it would all be over. He pulled the cloak close and hid the cubs beneath it. Then, instead of marching toward the front lines, he turned into a narrow alley, moving away from his unit. His heart pounded. Every step felt heavier than the last. The cubs whimpered softly under the cloak, but he hushed them. "Quiet now. Stay with me. I'll get you safe." He did not know where safe was. He did not know how long he could hide them. But he knew one thing with absolute clarity: the moment he chose to pick them up, he had crossed a line. He was no longer just a soldier fighting for victory. He was a protector, carrying lives that no one else wanted to save. And the war around him had just changed because of one human choice: the choice to protect alien cubs instead of marching toward victory. The night was cold, and the war camp was darker than usual. Fires burned low, throwing weak light across the tents. Soldiers sat in silence, too tired to speak, some cleaning their weapons, others staring into nothing. The human soldier walked slowly back into camp. His cloak was pulled tight around him, the alien cubs hidden beneath the folds. Each small movement of the cubs pressed against his chest, making his heart race. Every step felt like walking on a knife's edge. He passed 2 guards at the entrance. One of them nodded. "You're late," the guard muttered. The soldier forced a tired smile. "Got turned around in the smoke. Nearly lost my way." The guard said nothing more, but his eyes lingered on him for a moment too long. The soldier kept walking, his hand pressing against the cloak to keep the cubs still. Inside his tent, he finally let out a long breath. He set the cubs down on a blanket. They whimpered softly, curling together for warmth. One of them looked weaker than the others, its breathing shallow. He knelt beside them. His hands trembled as he took out his water flask, letting a few drops fall between their small mouths. They drank eagerly. For a brief moment he felt peace, a fragile kind of peace he had not felt since the war began, but peace never lasted long in war. A voice called from outside his tent. "Hey, you back? We thought you were gone." It was one of his comrades, a friend, a loyal fighter. The soldier's blood ran cold. He quickly covered the cubs with a spare blanket and stood. "Yeah," he answered. "Just needed some air." The flap opened and his comrade stepped in. He looked around the tent, suspicious eyes scanning every corner. "You missed the debrief. Commander's not happy." "I'll see him in the morning," the soldier said quickly. The comrade frowned. "You hiding something?" The soldier forced a laugh. "Only my exhaustion." But even as he spoke, one of the cubs made a soft whimper. Barely a sound, but enough to make his blood freeze. The comrade tilted his head. "What was that?" The soldier moved quickly, kicking a piece of equipment to make a clatter. "That? Just my gear falling over. Haven't had time to fix it." The comrade squinted at him for a long moment. Finally, he shrugged and left. But the soldier knew. Suspicion had already started. He turned back to the cubs, whispering harshly, "You'll get me killed. All of us." Yet when he looked into their glowing eyes, he could not stay angry. They looked back at him with trust, a trust he did not deserve but could not reject. Hours passed. The camp slept. The soldier stayed awake, feeding the cubs scraps of bread and drops of water. Each sound outside made him jump. Every step of a guard made his heart beat faster. He thought about the punishment if he was caught. Disobeying orders in war was treason. Treason meant prison, sometimes even execution, and yet he did not regret his choice, not fully. The next day, whispers began in camp. Someone heard strange noises last night. Could be the enemy spying on us. No. Sounded like animals, but there are no animals this close to the front. The soldier listened quietly, his stomach twisting. The cubs had been too loud. If the others kept talking, they would soon search every tent. That night, as the camp grew silent again, the soldier made a decision. He could not keep them here forever. He needed to move them, hide them better. But where? The forest beyond the camp was full of dangers. Enemy scouts, predators, and mines hidden under the ground. Taking the cubs there might mean death, yet keeping them here was even worse. As he prepared to sneak out, one of the cubs pressed its head against his hand. Its fur was warm, its tiny claws gripping his sleeve. He looked down at it, and for the first time he felt something impossible. They were not just alien cubs. They were children, innocent lives that had trusted him, and trust was something he could not betray. He wrapped them carefully again, preparing to leave. But before he could step out, he heard a sound that froze his blood. 2 soldiers were outside his tent, whispering. "You think he's hiding something? I heard it again last night, crying. Too soft to be human." "Then we should report it." The soldier held his breath, clutching the cubs close. His secret was no longer safe. The war was dangerous. The enemy was ruthless. But now, the greatest danger might come from his own people, because he was hiding something they would never forgive. He was hiding alien cubs. And sooner or later, someone would discover the truth. The nights grew darker. And with every passing hour, the soldier's secret became heavier. The alien cubs were alive, hidden under blankets in his tent, but their presence was like a silent alarm. He could feel it. The camp was restless. Soldiers whispered too much. Eyes lingered on him too long. Still, the cubs survived. That was all that mattered. But outside the human camp, something else was moving. Strange sounds began echoing across the battlefield. long, low howls that made even hardened soldiers shiver. The sound carried through the smoke-filled night, crawling into every corner of the camp. At first, they thought it was the wind. Then they thought it was beasts. But deep down, every human soldier knew what it really was. The enemy was searching for something precious. The soldier lay awake in his tent, the cubs curled close against him. When the first howl came, their small bodies trembled. They whimpered softly, pressing themselves into his side. His blood turned cold. He whispered, "They're calling you." "Aren't they?" The cubs looked at him with wide, glowing eyes as if they understood. The next day, the commander gathered the unit. His face was grim, his voice sharp. "The enemy is hunting nearby. Scouts say they're moving differently, like they're searching for something." The soldier swallowed hard. His throat felt dry. The commander's eyes scanned the group, sharp and suspicious. "If they're looking for something, we'll make sure they don't find it. Stay sharp. If anyone knows anything, speak now." The soldier kept his face blank. He said nothing. No one else spoke. But he felt the commander's gaze on him longer than anyone else. That night, the camp grew colder. Fires burned low, soldiers kept close to their rifles. The howls came again, closer this time, louder, hungrier. The soldier sat in silence, holding the cubs under his cloak. He could feel their tiny hearts beating fast. He could feel his own heart matching their rhythm. Then a shadow passed outside his tent. Slow, silent, watching. He froze. His hand moved to his weapon, but he did not draw it. Instead, he listened. The shadow stopped. He could hear breathing. Heavy. Inhuman. Then came a sound that chilled him to the bone. A growl, low and rumbling, just outside the thin cloth of his tent. The cubs whimpered, almost too softly to hear. He pressed them down, whispering, "Quiet, please, stay quiet." The growl faded, footsteps moving away into the night. But the soldier knew what that meant. The aliens were close, too close. They were sniffing out their young, and if they found them here, the entire camp would burn. The next morning, rumors spread like wildfire. A shadow near the tents. "Enemy scouts in the night. Something is watching us." The commander barked orders to tighten defenses. Traps were set, patrols doubled, but nothing stopped the feeling. The humans were no longer hunters. They were prey. The soldier walked through camp with his secret burning under his cloak. He saw the fear in his comrades' eyes, fear of the enemy, fear of each other. And he realized something terrifying. If anyone learned the truth, that he was hiding the cubs, the others might kill him before the aliens ever had a chance. That night, the howls came again, louder, closer. This time, the cubs answered, not with words, not with full voices, but with tiny cries, weak and trembling, carried on the wind. The soldier's blood froze. He grabbed them, pressing them close, but it was too late. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. The night grew silent, and then, from the darkness, glowing eyes appeared. He saw them through a gap in the tent, a pair of alien hunters, crouched low, watching. Their eyes burned like fire. They had found the camp. The soldier's hands tightened on his weapon. His mind screamed at him to raise the alarm. But another voice whispered inside him, "If you shout, the cubs are dead. If you fight, they will know you have them." He stayed silent, frozen, as the alien hunters scanned the camp. Their eyes moved past the fires, past the guards, past the tents. And for a single heartbeat, one pair of eyes met his. Predator's eyes. Hunter's eyes. They looked straight through the thin walls of his tent, straight at him. And in that moment, he felt like prey caught in a trap. But then the eyes turned away. Slowly, reluctantly. The hunters melted back into the shadows. The soldier let out a shaky breath. He was alive. The cubs were alive, for now. But he knew the truth. The aliens would not stop. They would search. They would return, and sooner or later they would realize their young were not lost in the ruins. They were here, hidden in the human camp, hidden with him. The camp was restless. Sleep no longer came easily to the soldiers. Every night, the howls of alien hunters grew louder. Every day, scouts reported shadows in the distance, trails of movement, tracks that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. The commander was growing harsher. His voice was sharp during drills. His eyes scanned every soldier as if searching for weakness. And the soldier, who carried the secret of the alien cubs, felt those eyes burning into him more than anyone. Else, he kept the cubs hidden as best as he could. During the day, he buried them under blankets and supplies. At night, he fed them quietly, water from his own ration, scraps of bread he pretended not to eat. But secrets have a way of spreading, and in war, suspicion is sharper than any blade. One of his comrades, a man he had fought beside for months, began watching him closely. At first, it was small things, the way the soldier left camp at odd hours, the way his pack seemed heavier though he ate less, the way strange sounds sometimes came from his tent. One evening, as the soldier returned with fresh water, the comrade stepped into his path. "You're hiding something," he said. The soldier forced a laugh. "I'm hiding exhaustion." "Nothing more." The comrade did not smile. "I've heard things. Soft noises, like crying." The soldier's heart thudded hard against his chest. "The camp is full of soldiers. Plenty of men cry at night." The comrade leaned closer, his eyes cold. "Not like that. Not human." For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then the comrade walked away, his words hanging in the air like a knife. That night, the soldier could not sleep. He sat with the cubs curled against him, their small bodies warm, their breathing steady. They trusted him completely. But trust would not protect them from betrayal. The next morning, the commander called for a meeting. His face was carved with anger. His voice carried across the camp. "There is something the enemy wants, something they are searching for, and I believe it is close. Very close!" The soldier's stomach twisted. His eyes flicked toward the comrade who stood in silence, watching him. The commander's gaze swept across the men. "If any of you know something, speak now. Hide nothing from me. Because if I discover a traitor in this camp, there will be no mercy." The soldier said nothing. His mouth was dry. The meeting ended, but whispers followed. Whispers about betrayal. Whispers about punishment. That night, the soldier was woken by footsteps outside his tent. He froze, hand on his weapon. The cubs stirred under the blanket. The flap opened. His comrade stepped inside. His face was unreadable. "I told the commander," he said quietly. "I told him you were hiding something." The soldier's chest tightened. "Why?" The comrade's eyes narrowed. "Because you're putting us all at risk. Whatever you're protecting, the enemy wants it. Their hunters are closing in. If you keep this secret, you'll kill us all." The soldier's voice shook with anger. "They're just cubs, innocent. They're not weapons, they're not spies. They're children." The comrade's face hardened. "Children of killers. You think they'll stay small forever? You think they won't grow up to tear us apart?" The cubs whimpered softly, as if sensing the tension. The comrade's eyes darted to the blanket. He saw the movement, his jaw tightened. "So it's true." The soldier's hand moved to his weapon. His comrade mirrored the movement. For a tense moment, the air was sharp with the threat of violence. Finally, the comrade stepped back. "I won't kill you, not yet. But the commander knows. Tomorrow you'll face him. And if you don't give up the cubs, you'll be marked as a traitor." He left the tent without another word. The soldier sat in silence, his breath shaking, his hands trembling. The cubs pressed close to him, their glowing eyes wide with fear. He whispered to them, though they could not understand. "I won't give you up." Not to him. Not to anyone. But even as he spoke, he knew the truth. His secret was no longer a secret. The commander knew. His comrades knew. And soon, everyone would see him not as a protector, but as a traitor. And in war, traitors did not live long. The camp was no longer safe. The soldier knew at the moment the commander's eyes locked on him during the morning inspection. Suspicion burned in every glance, every whispered conversation. Men who once trusted him now stepped aside when he passed, and the cubs, hidden under his cloak, could feel it too. They stayed quieter, their small bodies pressed against him as if they understood danger was closing in. That night, the storm finally broke. The howls of the alien hunters returned, louder than ever before. Not distant this time. Not faint. They came from every side of the camp, circling like wolves. The soldier jolted awake. The cubs whimpered, trembling under the blanket. Then came the first scream. A guard at the perimeter, his voice cut short by the sound of tearing flesh. Gunfire followed, sharp bursts in the dark, but the howls did not stop. They grew closer. The camp exploded into chaos. Soldiers scrambled for weapons, shouting orders, firing blindly into the night. Fires roared higher as shadows moved just beyond the light. The predators had arrived. The soldier's tent flap ripped open. His comrade stood there, face pale with fear, rifle in hand. "They're here! They've found us." The soldier's blood went cold. He knew what the aliens were hunting. Not the camp. Not the humans. The cubs. He didn't have time to argue. He scooped them up, wrapped them in his cloak, and pushed past his comrade. "Where are you going?" the man shouted. "Somewhere they can't find them." The soldier snapped. Bullets cracked through the night. The howls answered. Figures moved in the smoke, tall, fast, monstrous. One leapt into the campfire's glow, its eyes burning with rage. Soldiers opened fire, but the beast tore through them like paper. The soldier ran. Past the screams. Past the blood. Past the commander shouting orders no one could follow. But even as he fled, another voice followed him. Harsh. Human. "Stop him! He's running with something!" He looked back. His comrade had raised the alarm. Soldiers turned their rifles toward him. In their eyes, he wasn't an ally anymore. He was a traitor running into the dark. Gunfire cracked behind him. Bullets tore through the ground at his feet. He dove behind broken stone, clutching the cubs tight. Two armies were after him now. His own people, who believed he carried danger, and the alien hunters, who knew he carried their young. The night became a nightmare chase. He sprinted through the ruins, the cubs clinging to him, their claws scratching at his chest. Shadows hunted him on both sides. Human voices shouted his name. Alien howls answered in the distance. A spotlight cut across the rubble. Human searchlights. "There, stop him!" He ducked into an alley, pressing against the wall as boots thundered past. But no sooner had he escaped them than another sound rose. Low growls behind him. "Alien hunters!" He ran again. His lungs burned, his legs shook, but he did not stop. He could not stop. The cubs' lives depended on it. The ruins turned into wilderness. Trees loomed ahead, black against the firelit sky. He pushed into the forest, branches tearing at his arms, the ground uneven beneath his boots. Behind him, the hunt continued. A gunshot rang out. A bullet tore through the edge of his cloak. He stumbled but didn't fall. He pressed on deeper into the trees. The cubs whimpered softly, frightened but silent enough to save them. He whispered between gasps, "Hold on! Just hold on." For a brief moment, silence returned. No gunfire, no howls. Just the sound of his ragged breathing and the cubs' small hearts. But silence in war was never safe. From the shadows ahead, two glowing eyes appeared. Then another pair, then more. The hunters were here, blocking his path. The soldier skidded to a halt. His heart pounded so hard it hurt. He raised his weapon with one hand, clutching the cubs with the other. The hunters stepped closer, their teeth glinting in the faint light. Their growls rumbled through the forest. And then, one of the cubs squirmed free, peeking out from the cloak. The hunters froze. Their eyes widened. Recognition. The soldier's breath caught. For a single heartbeat, no one moved. Man and beast locked in a silent standoff. Then, shouts erupted behind him. Human soldiers crashing through the forest, rifles raised. The hunters snarled. The humans shouted. And the soldier stood trapped between them, holding the cubs who had brought two armies to the same place. He whispered to himself, "This is it." And the chase was far from over. The forest was dark, the air heavy with smoke and fear. Behind him, the shouts of human soldiers grew distant. Ahead, the alien hunters had melted back into the shadows, their glowing eyes vanishing like ghosts. The soldier stood alone in the silence, clutching the cubs tight against his chest. His heart pounded, his breath came in ragged gasps, but somehow, by some miracle, he was still alive. He stumbled deeper into the trees, every branch snapping under his boots, sounding like thunder. The cubs whimpered softly, but he whispered to them, "Quiet now. Stay with me. We'll make it." For hours he moved through the forest, guided only by moonlight. When his legs finally gave out, he collapsed beside a fallen log. He set the cubs down carefully, and they curled together, their glowing eyes watching him. Exhaustion hit him like a wave. His muscles burned, his chest ached, but he forced himself to stay awake. If he closed his eyes, hunters, human or alien, would find them. Still, as he watched the cubs huddle close, a strange warmth filled his chest. They were alive because of him, and maybe he was alive because of them. One of the cubs crawled closer, pressing its small head against his arm. Its fur was soft, warm against the cold night. Another climbed onto his chest, curling into a ball as if it belonged there. The soldier let out a shaky breath. "You're supposed to be monsters," he whispered. "But you don't feel like monsters." For the first time in days, he felt something other than fear. He felt needed. Hours passed. At dawn, he moved again, deeper into the wild. He had no food left, only half a flask of water. The cubs were hungry, their cries sharper now, but he could not silence them. That was when he heard movement in the trees. He froze, raising his weapon. Leaves shifted, branches creaked. Then with a sudden crash, a predator lunged out of the undergrowth, not alien, not human, but a wild beast of this planet. Its jaws snapped, teeth gleaming, its body low and ready to strike. The soldier fired once, but the shot went wide. He stumbled back, the cubs behind him, helpless. Then something unexpected happened. One of the cubs, the smallest, let out a piercing cry. Its tiny body arched, eyes glowing brighter than ever. The beast stopped mid-lunge, confused by the sound. The other cubs joined, their cries sharp and strange, echoing through the forest. The predator hesitated, then backed away, snarling, before vanishing into the trees. The soldier stood frozen, staring at the cubs. They looked back at him, their eyes calm, as if they had known what to do all along. Slowly, he knelt beside them. You saved me." He had thought of them as helpless, fragile things that needed protection. But now he saw something else. They were more than just young. They were intelligent. Stronger than they seemed, the bond between them deepened. He was not just their protector. They were his companions. Days passed in the wilderness. Each night he built small fires, keeping them warm. Each day he searched for food, sharing every scrap. The cubs, in turn, began to help. They found roots hidden under soil, led him to streams where the water was clean, even warned him of traps set by human patrols. Once, when he nearly stepped on a hidden mine, one cub darted forward, pawing at the ground until he noticed. His heart stopped when he saw the metal beneath the dirt. Without them, he would have been dead. At night, when he lay awake, he realized something terrifying and beautiful. These cubs were not simply animals. They were learning, watching, trusting him, and in their glowing eyes he no longer saw the reflection of predators. He saw the reflection of family. But danger had not vanished. One evening, as the sun bled red across the sky, the soldier heard voices again. Human soldiers, moving through the forest. They were searching. Their words carried through the trees. "Find him. He can't be far. If he's with the cubs, Commander wants him alive. For questioning. And if not alive, then dead will do." The soldier pulled the cubs close, heart pounding. He whispered, "Quiet now. Stay with me." The cubs pressed against him, silent but alert. Their glowing eyes scanned the dark forest, their small bodies tense. He realized then that they were not just depending on him anymore. He was depending on them. Together, they were more than prey. Together, they were survivors. And soon, both humans and aliens would learn that the bond they had formed was something neither side could control. The forest could no longer hide him. The soldier crouched low with the cubs at his side, listening to the sound of boots crunching leaves. Human voices echoed from the east. From the west came the soft growls of alien hunters. He was caught between two armies. The cubs pressed close, their glowing eyes wide, their small bodies trembling. He whispered, "Stay calm. Don't move." But his own hands were shaking on the rifle. Shadows appeared first, tall figures in human armor. Their rifles glinted in the fading light. A commander stepped forward, voice sharp. "There he is! The traitor!" Behind them, more shapes emerged. The alien hunters, eyes burning in the darkness, their weapons raised. For a moment, time froze. Humans and aliens stood across from each other, but their gazes locked on only one thing: the soldier and the cubs. The commander barked, "Step away from them, soldier. You've disobeyed direct orders. Surrender the cubs and return to your unit. Do this, and you might live." The soldier swallowed hard. He glanced at the cubs. They huddled close, tiny paws clutching his leg, eyes pleading. Then another voice broke the silence, a deep, growling voice from the alien side. "He is ours. He stole the young of our kind. Return them, human, and we may show mercy." The forest seemed to hold its breath. Guns and alien weapons were raised, every finger tense on a trigger. The soldier stood slowly, rifle in hand, but kept the cubs behind him. "They're not yours anymore," he said, his voice low but steady. "And they're not trophies for humans either. They're lives. Innocent lives." The commander's face hardened. "Do you hear yourself? You've gone soft. Those creatures grow into killers. They'll slaughter us all. Is that what you want?" The soldier shook his head. "I've seen killers. These cubs aren't killers. They're children. And if we treat them as enemies now, there will never be peace." The alien leader snarled, his sharp teeth flashing. "You speak of peace while you carry war in your hands. You hold our future, human. Give them back, or die where you stand." The cubs whimpered, pressing tighter against him. His chest burned with fear. He was one man against two armies. He couldn't fight them. He couldn't run. All he could do was stand his ground. His finger tightened on the trigger, though he knew it was useless. If they opened fire, he and the cubs would be torn apart in seconds. Then, before anyone could move, one of the cubs stepped forward. It let out a strange, piercing cry, the same sound that had scared off the forest predator days ago. But this time, it was louder, stronger. The cry shook the trees, echoed across the battlefield. Both sides froze. Humans flinched. Aliens stiffened, eyes wide with shock. The other cubs joined, their glowing eyes shining brighter, their cries weaving together into something unearthly. The soldier felt it vibrate through his bones. It was not just a sound. It was a message, a warning. For the first time, he saw fear in the eyes of both humans and aliens. Neither side understood what these cubs truly were. Neither side had seen this power. The commander lowered his rifle slightly. "What are they?" he whispered. The alien leader's eyes flickered with something like fear. "They are the future. A future you cannot control." The cubs' cries stopped suddenly, leaving only silence. But the silence was heavier than gunfire. Both armies hesitated, fingers twitching, unsure whether to fight or retreat. The soldier took his chance. He raised his voice, strong and clear. "Look at them. They don't want war. They don't want blood. But if you keep fighting, you'll destroy something greater than any victory." The commander's jaw clenched. His rifle wavered. He looked at the aliens, then back at the soldier. "If we let you walk away, we lose everything we fought for." The soldier stepped forward, keeping the cubs behind him. "No. If you kill them, you lose something you'll never get back. Hope." The air crackled with tension. One wrong move and fire would rain down from both sides, but no one moved. The cubs' glowing eyes shifted from soldier to human, then to alien. In their gaze was something no one expected: understanding. The soldier realized then that this moment was no longer about orders or victory or even survival. It was about a choice bigger than all of them, and he had already made his. He would protect the cubs, even if it meant standing alone against two armies. The soldier stood in the center of the forest clearing, the cubs at his side. On one side, human rifles gleamed. On the other, alien weapons glowed. Both armies waited, tense, like predators ready to strike. The cubs' strange cries still echoed in everyone's memory. That sound had shaken them, rattled their courage, forced them to pause. But the pause would not last forever. The commander of the humans raised his hand. "Last warning, soldier. Step away from the creatures. Do it now, or we open fire." The alien leader growled, his voice deep like thunder. "They are ours. Hand them over, human, or die with them." The soldier's grip tightened on his rifle. His heart raced. He was one man, one life, standing between two armies. But when he looked at the cubs, small and trembling yet unafraid, his fear steadied. "No," he said, voice carrying across the battlefield. "I won't let you take them." The commander's face hardened. He motioned to his soldiers. "Ready weapons!" The alien leader raised his hand, signaling his hunters. "Prepare to strike!" The air snapped with tension. Any second now, fire would rain down. The soldier closed his eyes. He thought of home, of the countless battles he had fought, of the orders he had followed without question. And then he thought of the moment he first saw the cubs, injured, crying like human children, reaching out for help. He opened his eyes. His choice had already been made. He stepped in front of the cubs, spreading his arms wide, rifle lowered. "If you want them," he shouted, "you'll have to kill me first." A silence heavier than thunder fell. Neither side moved. The cubs pressed close behind him. Then slowly, their eyes began to glow brighter than before. Their small bodies trembled, not with fear, but with power. The glow spread, rising into the air like sparks. A strange energy filled the clearing, humming in the ground, vibrating in the trees. Both humans and aliens staggered, confused. The commander's voice cracked. "What is this?" The alien leader's eyes widened. They are awakening." The cubs let out another cry. But this time, it was not just a warning. It was something larger, older, deeper. The sound rolled through the forest, through the hearts of every soldier and every hunter. It carried not anger, not violence, but something different. Unity. Visions flashed in their minds, humans and aliens not fighting but standing together. Building, surviving, sharing. The war that had consumed generations suddenly seemed small, pointless compared to what could be. The commander lowered his rifle, trembling. I see it." The alien leader staggered back, eyes wide with awe. "They show us the future." The soldier turned, kneeling by the cubs. They looked up at him, eyes glowing with trust. He whispered, voice shaking, "You're not just children, are you? You're hope." The cubs pressed against him, and the light faded slowly. The forest grew quiet again. When he looked up, both armies were still. Guns lowered, weapons slack in their hands. No one fired, no one moved. For the first time in years, there was silence without violence. The commander finally spoke, voice heavy. "Soldier, you've disobeyed every order, but maybe this was the order we should have followed all along." The alien leader bowed his head slightly, his voice softer than before. "Perhaps the war ends here. Perhaps it ends with them." The soldier rose slowly, the cubs at his side. He did not smile. He did not celebrate. He only stood, tired and broken, but still alive. He had risked everything, and in the end, he had protected what mattered most. The cubs nuzzled against him, their eyes dimming as they finally rested. For the first time, they looked safe. The war was not won, but something greater had been born. An understanding, fragile yet powerful, carried not by armies but by the bond between one human and a handful of alien cubs. As the soldier looked, around the clearing, at humans and aliens both lowering their weapons, he whispered to himself, "Maybe this is the real victory." And the cubs, pressed close against him, purred softly as if they agreed.